Hello everyone, welcome back, welcome back. Here we are for our second video on our new Eternal Tech comics and anime channel. Today we have a special video. This is one that I put a little bit of thought into. This was inspired by Channel Fireball, not Channel Fireball. Ooh, wrong form of content. Team 4 Stars, December top 12 transformations. So what we have today is our top 7 Dragon Ball series transformations. And to clarify, this transformation could include anything ranging, or let me rephrase that. What I consider for this transformation was anything ranging from Frieza's form changes from base stage or original stage to second stage to third stage to finally his quote-unquote final form. Also considered Majin Buu's absorption forms. Excuse me, I don't know why I have such bad hiccups. I also considered things like Ultra Ego or Ultra Instinct. That here's my cat Tony. He's annoying, likes to jump on my table. That's enough for this video, buddy. Thank you. Your co-pilot. But yeah, so stuff like Ultra Instinct that is arguably a technique that could be combined with the transformation, which I actually think, I might be wrong, so don't quote me, but I think in the Moro arc in the manga, does Goku combined it with Super Saiyan Blue? Kind of like Kaioken? I don't remember. I could be misremembering that. I probably am. But yeah, so that's all things I went and put into it, and this is of course from original Dragon Ball, which really didn't have very many transformations that I could remember. Obviously, we have Great Ape, or the Almighty Ozaru, I believe that's how it's pronounced. And then, of course, in Dragon Ball Z, we have obviously the Ozaru still, the Super Saiyan transformations, Frieza, Cell, Majin Buu's changes. And then, of course, when we get into Super/GT, we have our own set of different transformations. So this is a list of transformations that, for me, are like the coolest or like the most exciting or something like that. They're not necessarily the best transformations. They're just my favorite transformations. Because if I was putting them in order of best, then I think Super Saiyan would have to win, and then Super Saiyan 3 or 4 would be second, and the other would be third for me. But that's not the case. This is not what I think are the best transformations. Which actually I have to do a lot more thinking about the best transformation. But anyway, before I ramble on for too much longer, let's go ahead and get into number 7, which is Golden Frieza. Now, if you watch the Super anime, the Golden Frieza arc pretty much sucks. It's drawn out. It's feels like a money grab. And all around, we could have done without it. Same thing with like the Battle of Gods arc. I think they should have been eliminated or shortened from Super. Don't get me wrong. I love that in the anime, we see Videl also basically go Super Saiyan during their whole God ritual. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of that of those arcs. But Golden Frieza to me is really cool because I do like the colors of it. It feels really interesting. It's also super fun to play in Xenoverse 2 as a golden Frieza race character. Other than that, though, I have to say it feels nice. Like all Frieza's transformations up to this point have been obviously form changing, like growing, losing body parts. And I love how the Super Saiyans they get bigger hair, they get more muscular. Like that was always the Super Saiyan transformation theme. To where Frieza kind of went from itty bitty weird form to a hulking form to a monster head form into a very sleek final form, and then of course powering up to his full power form, which kind of was a prototype for the full power Super Saiyan or Super Vegeta forms from Cell Saga. But this form it looks so cool, and the first time I saw it when I watched Revival of F was just so much fun. It was so awesome. I really enjoyed this transformation, and I like that it like Frieza hates Saiyans so much, and yet now his new form honestly looks like a Super Saiyan transformation. I love the irony behind it. Um, but yeah, it's not an amazing transformation by any means. It's definitely not the best out there, and arguably, if it wasn't for the fact that I love Frieza as a villain and I love his English voice actor so much, um, he probably wouldn't be this high. He probably wouldn't be in my top 7, but it just feels crisp, it feels clean, and it feels simple. And as opposed to Super Saiyan Blue and Super Saiyan God, where I'm not really a big fan of the colors until I've watched a lot of like Super. I love Golden Frieza from the start, and it makes sense because it's just like the Super Saiyan transformation. So not too hard to understand why it's so easy for me to like it. The next one, number 6, is Perfect Cell. Now, I honestly am a big fan of Cell's second form. I get that it's kind of ugly and not like the best, but I love that imperfect look. It also just looks monstrous and more intimidating to me than either of Cell's forms. Um, the perfect form, I agree. It looks more quote unquote perfect because it looks more human. It looks more like the aesthetic you would expect Jiro to have gone for as a human who created a set of androids. I'd expect Cell to look more humanoid in his perfect form. But of course, it's also really awesome to watch the entire saga as we go through, seeing Cell fight, struggle to try and absorb the androids, struggling to absorb people. And off the heels of just getting just swamped by Super Vegeta, we go from that to all of a sudden him transforming into this and this monstrous being that just decimates both Trunks and Vegeta. And of course, seeing Final Flash decimate his body, but him just regrow is so cool. I think this is definitely one of the most, I want to say, earned transformations, because throughout the entire saga, he's fighting so hard to absorb these androids. And it's not like Super Saiyan where we kind of don't know what we'd have to expect. With Cell, we know something's going to happen when he gets them. And of course, it works out so well because like the going from rooting against the androids to all of a sudden now you're like, okay, well, they're the lesser of two evils. And then just it's such a good arc, such a good saga. Cell is such a cool villain, and his final form is definitely sleek. It's definitely more what I expect like a perfect form to look like, coming from a human's standpoint. Because obviously his creator was human. My only real like against it is I think that it's not as awesome as the other transformations. Like, yeah, it's cool, but it and his perfect form, or his full power perfect form, are just the same thing, just lightning, which is fine, but that's a big reason why I don't like Super Saiyan 2 is because it's boring. Like, Gohan's the only person that has a different Super Saiyan 2 look than everyone else because his hair gets longer, noticeably longer, and then there's the lightning and the more violent demeanor. But Cell's a really cool villain and probably one of my favorite villains in the entire franchise. But it's not a movie villain, at least, because really, dude, really, you're back. Because obviously the movie villains kind of outshine a lot of the canon villains. Big case in point, Broly and Janemba. But Perfect Cell is really cool. The speckles, the color, it just all goes really well for me. The black and the white body, I don't know, it just looks super clean to me, and it's simple, and it's another example that we went from monstrous looking Form 1 Cell, or not even Form 1, but the first major form of Cell we deal with. Then we go to this more bulked out form, which is kind of funny because that's what Vegeta and Trunks do to try and beat him, which does work at that point. But then we turn around and we get, all right, buddy, that's enough. Back on the floor again. Say hello to the camera again, and then say goodbye. He likes to help me record these videos. He thinks he's adding something. But yeah, Perfect Cell is a really good example of that sleeking down again, just like Frieza, and I really like it. But yeah, another big factor is same thing with Frieza. The first time we see it, it's really cool, really awesome, and exciting, and kind of scary at the same time. All right, so after this, moving on to number 5, and this one is heavily based on the fact that Dragon Ball Super is not one of the best series, but has a lot of really cool moments, and this is one of the best moments in it. And that, of course, is Ultra Instinct, or Mastered Ultra Instinct Goku. He is hands down, that fight is hands down one of the best with him, Jiren. And that whole arc just going through, we see him the first time against Jiren, kind of absorbing the Spirit Bomb, awakening it the second time against Kefla, with the Divine Kamehameha, or whatever you want to call it. That was awesome. And then, of course, finally mastering it in the second or slash kind of third bout with Jiren. It's super awesome. That moment just felt so... It felt so Dragon Ball Z, right? Like, I don't know if you understand what I mean, but it felt so much like that first Super Saiyan transformation. Just like that wind is out of the sail, the hope is kind of fading, and then just boom. Ultra Instinct rises up in Ultra Instinct's first form, and Goku all of a sudden goes from I can't win to I have a chance. And the other thing I love about Ultra Instinct is it's different from all other forms too, even like Super Saiyan 4, where you clearly get more powerful, you clearly get stronger, you're clearly just everything is boosted by your new transformation. For Ultra Instinct, while I can see an argument that, yeah, you get boosted when you awaken this state too, but the idea of it is it's not a power up. It is a awakening. It's a realization. You're using your instincts now. Buddy, really? You're using your instincts to develop and transform, and it's great because we do see the foreshadowing where Whis, during training with Goku, is trying to tell him, like, hey, you're thinking too much. Your actions are slow. Your punches are slow because you're thinking too much. You just gotta act. Let your body do what it's been trained to do. And of course, don't get me wrong, I'm no martial artist, but I did spend a lot of time when I was younger learning Kenpo and training, and it was a super big hobby of mine for quite a while when I was younger. And it honestly was, the more you trained, the more easy something got because your body got used to it. Muscle memory. The same thing was with sports. You know, baseball, throwing a pitch, the more times you do it, the more times you hold that grip, the more times you do it, the more your body remembers that feeling, and it makes it easier to do it repetitively. And that's kind of what Ultra Instinct is relying on, is you're just letting your body do what it's been trained to do. Rather than you thinking about it, rather than you trying to strategize, you're just letting your body move how it's been trained to move all these years. And as a series that feels like it's gone way past like baseline martial arts, like, you know, obviously in original Dragon Ball, it felt a lot more martial arts like, you know, where now we kind of gone up, you know, where we got Ki Blast, Super Saiyan, all this crazy stuff going on. Feels like we kind of lost sight of some of the base martial arts, but this is a nice little revisit to it, where it's all of Goku's training since he was a kid till now culminate in this form and in this execution. And I hesitate to call it a form because it does at the end up being a transformation, but it feels more like a technique that can just be applied to any form, or more of a state of being or a state of mind that can be applied to any other form. Like, for example, he could just go Super Saiyan Blue and access Ultra Instinct's training and knowledge and reflexiveness without hindering himself. And like I said, overall, this is my favorite transformation that we get from all of the Dragon Ball Super related content, including God and all that stuff. And I think it looks nice. I love the gray hair. I like that a lot. That kind of sparkly silver aura. All features that I think really, really complement the form nicely. And it's not the best form in my opinion, but it's really cool. And like I said, it just, that moment felt like a bring back to the original Super Saiyan transformation. Seeing Goku transform for the first time, it was like this revitalization of like hope. And obviously, I wasn't nearly as invested in the Tournament of Power arc as I was original Frieza arc or Frieza Saga, but still, that transformation just it stirred that nostalgia. You know what I mean? All right, so that was number 5. Now we're moving on to number 4, and number 4 is more of a, I want to see it. I'm excited to see it. I hope to see it someday type of thing. That being said, obviously it's not the same, weirdo. It's not the same as the other lists on here where they're picked because of how cool they were or because of how awesome I think they were. This is one where I want to see more of. I want to see it happen more, and that is Vegeta's Ultra Ego form, which is super cool because it's kind of the contrast to Instinct, right? This is Vegeta's version of basically, not Ultra Instinct, because obviously it's not the same thing, but it's basically his version of his adapted God ability, or whatever you want to call it, where the general idea is the more damage he takes, the more punch he can give, which is so Vegeta. Like, he's a glutton for punishment. We see this dude get beaten down and broken and constantly trying to get back up throughout every fight. I mean, look at the Tournament of Power. Look at the Frieza Saga. Those alone. I mean, yeah, come on. And of course, from the guy who, I don't know if he technically created it, but the biggest person that used it that we think of, the final explosion, that being Vegeta, this form feels like it fits Vegeta perfectly. And that being said, I also love this drawing of it because it looks so clean and it looks so nice, and that purple aura is just, it's purple has always been described to me by my friends that are artists as a very majestic or a very royal color, and that's what it feels like here. The Prince of all Saiyans finally has his royal transformation. Again, I don't know if this is going to be, I don't remember. I only read the initial manga stuff for these forms and this stuff with Granola and Moro, pretty much just at a hype to see the fights and stuff. I don't really remember all of it very well, so I don't know fully in detail if this is also kind of like how I think Ultra Instinct could work or should work, where it can be a layer on top, or if this is just going to have to be more fully its own form. Which it does feel like it's going to be more fully its own form, since in this depiction we see no eyebrows and stuff like that, looking more like Super Saiyan 3's transformation, which of course Vegeta's never gotten. Which I think Vegeta is definitely more than capable of it. I think it's just not necessary. You know, he's got that kind of stopgap. Super Saiyan 2 has put out enough punch, but then Super Saiyan God and Super Saiyan Blue, if he needs more punch, just jump straight to those rather than messing with Super Saiyan. The other thing, of course, I like about this is we always see Vegeta kind of falling behind everyone else, right? Like, Goku gets Super Saiyan first. Gohan gets Super Saiyan 2. Vegeta gets Super Saiyan and Super Saiyan 2 kind of off screen in between sagas, essentially. Super Saiyan God, he gets it completely off screen. Maybe it happens in the manga. I haven't read the whole manga for it, but he gets it off screen, essentially, and just has it. Same thing with Super Saiyan Blue. We never really explain in detail how he has it. He does. And obviously, if he has Super Saiyan Blue, he has to have Super Saiyan God, because that's where you get the God key from. But yeah, so him having his own unique form to himself, it also feels like, because to me, the idea of Goku becoming the next God of Destruction, that never felt right to me. Like, Goku definitely, he's not a destroyer. He loves fighting, and yes, he destroys stuff kind of as collateral damage, but he's never been one that loves destruction and loves death. He loves the challenge, he loves fighting. So that aspect of being a destroyer, I could see him possibly wanting to do, where he gets into situations with entities or creatures that need to be taken care of, and he gets in those fights. To where with Vegeta, he's obviously more the destroyer. In fact, I don't know if I think it's just in Dragon Ball Z Kai final chapter, Majin Vegeta is dubbed the Prince of Destruction, which I think is dope. I think that's a cool name for him. But yeah, so it's nice to see him get his own transformation that's uniquely his, which I hope stays uniquely his. I don't know. I hope Goku doesn't get access to a form like this, or if he does, I hope that it's color similarities exist, but the concept of I take damage and dish out more damage doesn't apply. But yeah, Vegeta deserves his own respect, his own time to shine. And there's plenty of arcs where I think he should have been given the ability to take out the villain, or at least more villains. And I know he's not the main character, so that doesn't flow. That breaks the whole stylized choices that are made through most of these series. But I don't know, I still like it. So moving on to number 3, and this one's an interesting one, right? So number 3 is one that to me is a lot of nostalgia. But then I think it's another example like Ultra Instinct that Dragon Ball Super did insanely well. So that, of course, is the full power Super Saiyan, or the legendary Super Saiyan as it was originally called. Of course, starting out with Broly, we get this legendary Super Saiyan that he bursts in this transformation out of rage from the original movie based off of his hatred for Kakarot. And of course, I mean, Broly's a monster. The dude is destroying everybody, wiping the floor with everyone, hands down, no problems. And it's insane. Like, I mean, watching that movie, it's like, oh my god, how is he so powerful? You know, Goku, Vegeta, Trunks, Gohan, everyone is losing to him without any real effort. In fact, honestly, the biggest problem with that movie to me was how they all of a sudden beat him. But of course, he was never canon until Super. And of course, in Super, they actually gave us another like legendary Super Saiyan-esque character in Kale, who, of course, if you haven't watched the series, Kale is a Saiyan from Universe 6, and she's very timid, very meek. Her counterpart is Khalifa, who is the more dominant, more violent, more aggressive leader of the pack, so to speak. And Kale is the follower, the little sister, the kind of scared little girl type character who follows everyone else around. And then, of course, we see this contrast to her blowing up into this rage-filled, monstrous form where she's just tanking people. She's just, able to compete with Goku all of a sudden. She's causing worry on the Tournament of Power battlefield because of the power of this form. And then, of course, seeing the full-powered Saiyan, as it's called in Xenoverse 2, when we see Broly return in the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie with a new origin and stuff, that form, it's awesome. It's able to take on Super Saiyan Blue and Super Saiyan God forms, Goku and Vegeta. It's able to take on Golden Frieza, which, as much as I don't like Frieza in a lot of scenarios, and I do like talking trash about him in general, Golden Frieza is powerful. He's no wuss. He can handle himself. So the fact that Broly's just beating the crap out of him, it's awesome. Broly's power is just undoubtable. And to me, Broly is a villain that symbolizes Dragon Ball Z more than a lot of its heroes. Which I know is kind of weird, but to me it is. So, like I said, I do like that contrast. And same thing, I mean, when we first see Broly in the original movie, he's also very timid and meek looking, and he doesn't seem very domineering. But he's this unbelievably powerful guy. So, alright, after that one, we're going to move on to number 2, which again, this is oddly enough another one from Super, which I don't really count Legendary Super Saiyan from Super because that was obviously premiered during a movie. But that is Trunks' Angry Super Saiyan Blue transformation, part of what he used to defeat fused Zamasu at the very end of the Goku Black arc. So to start with some background here, probably my favorite character in all of Dragon Ball Z, and I know I'm not alone on this, is Future Trunks. He is hands down to me one of the characters that is the most awesome and just all around one of the coolest characters. Seeing him show up against Golden Frieza, turn him into, dice him up, and then blow him away, that is awesome. Not Golden Frieza, sorry, Mecha Frieza. Is so awesome. Honestly, the saddest thing is that we don't get any more from him after the Cell Saga until Super. Um, but still, I get it. He's got to go his own time, do his own stuff. But so when we see him again in Super, of course, he's again pushed to this brink of loss. He has lost his mom. Bulma is murdered by Goku Black, of course. And he thinks that his love interest, or the girl he's in love with, Mai, is killed. Or Mai? Is it pronounced Mai? I don't remember. It's spelled M-A-I, so I always say Mai. But anyway, he thinks she's been killed by Goku Black too, and he's just struggling with this with all his anger. And eventually it boils off when he sees Goku and everyone getting beaten, and he knows all the people this time are likely going to be killed by Goku Black. And it's awesome to see the transformation. And I really feel like he's really, not only is he channeling the pain and anger he's feeling in the moment, but I also feel like he let those scars reopen from 17 and 18, and how they destroyed his home, his life, his family, his entire world, and you know, for the most part, ruined his life. And I think he reopened let those scars kind of metaphorically reopen to let this like faucet holding all this rage back just out. And then boom, we get this explosion of power that is somehow able to actually be effective against Zamasu and Goku Black. Of course, hands down, also looks super cool. The blue aura inside the golden Saiyan aura with the bluish lightning cracking around it is amazing. It has that feeling of Super Saiyan 2, but with a little bit of that Super Saiyan blue energy. And honestly, I think I would have preferred if Super Saiyan Blue looked a little more like this form. And it also feels kind of cool because, like, obviously we know he doesn't have God Ki. Like, this isn't his Super Saiyan Blue form. But just this form and how it feels so similar to what is, through this point in the story, the ultimate Super Saiyan transformation. It just feels awesome. And it's such a good show of how strong Trunks has become. And to me, I think it's kind of also a sad part because it's the reminder of where Gohan could have gone, you know? I mean, we could have had a Gohan like this in our current timeline. But yeah, this also makes me sadder about GT because we could have had this. We could have had this badass, but instead we got the bland, boring, vanilla Trunks from GT, which normally I'd say there's no problem with vanilla, but in this scenario, there's a problem with vanilla. Again, there's a lot of parts of Super that I think are just bad. The entire first 3 arcs I think are just pretty terrible. Don't get me wrong, Revival of F giving us more Golden Frieza stuff. Battle of Gods arc giving us Videl going blonde during the ritual is awesome. That's my Bulma. Is just a cool part in any way you look at it. The Destroyer tournament is just, to me, is the worst part of that because it's not even just redux of a movie. It's a completely new part that just feels so lackluster and boring. And it's cool because it does introduce more about Universe 6, which I do like. And Hit is cool. But honestly, if it wasn't for the Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken, I would hate that entire saga. Or arc, rather. And then, of course, I think we technically have another arc in between the Destroyer battle and Goku Black. I can't remember exactly what's in between it, but this is obviously the highlight. Like, Goku Black is one of the best, in my opinion, executed stories. The idea is kind of boring, but the execution is awesome. And then, of course, we're working on the Tournament of Power, which is, there's a lot of problems. I'd have to do a whole video to talk about my issues with the Tournament of Power, and I don't feel like talking about that in this video. But yeah, so Trunks, this form is just awesome. I love it. It's great all around. I can admit there are some like canonical filling problems with this form, but for a character we almost never see, this is great. Also, I'm really upset. I know Beerus and them had the whole Time travel obviously is a problem, but I'm so upset that we didn't keep this version in our regular timeline and just let him happen in the Tournament of Power story. That would have been dope. Like, forget Krillin or something. Put him in the Tournament of Power instead. That would have been cool. I guess it would have technically had been 17 instead of him. But, yeah. So, and finally, of course, if you watched our last video, you already know who number 1 is. It's Super Saiyan 4 Goku. I'm not going to talk too much about this because I talked about it a lot in the last video about all the pros I think of this form. And again, I only have 2 cons about this entire form, where I have plenty of cons about every other form on this list. And the only 2 cons are, one, an aesthetic choice with the gi that Goku's wearing of the yellow pants. But they kind of fixed that in Super Dragon Ball Heroes, the weird 8-episode series, or 8-minute episode series. I don't know what even that's for. I think it's an advertisement for a game or something. Basically. Excuse me, sorry about that, guys. But they fixed it with the Xeno Goku, where they give him the regular looking gi with, I believe, black pants and everything, and that looks cool. I love that Super Saiyan 4 version. But of course, this one, that just like feeling of the immense power coming from him. The second error, of course, is the lack of use of it, or the improper use of it, whichever one you prefer to call it throughout Dragon Ball GT. Those are my 2 issues with the form in general, and one of which is not a big deal with the yellow pants. I actually love his yellow and blue gi that we see him wear during GT. I think just the contrast of the pink fur and red aura feels gross. But yeah, and then of course the lack of use, well, that's just more of a problem with GT than anything else, and you can't do anything about that. But you know, it's super awesome. This more primal look, more aggressive look. To me, it's amazing. The whole golden 8 part transforming into this, and the power he brings to the table after that. Like, the fight with Baby automatically feels like it's completely swayed. Of course, Super 17 is kind of a bleh for it, but all throughout the Shadow Dragon saga, this is a highlight of the entire saga, like the entire arc. Every time we see him, it's awesome, it's cool. Yeah, it kind of sucks that like he gets blinded by ice and then beat up by Sin and stuff, but it's still awesome seeing him. He's so powerful. And that is one thing I actually do want to talk about. Is I didn't mention this so much in the last video, but since we talked about Ultra Instinct and Super Saiyan 4 in this video, if you remember the Ice Shenron Nova Shenron fight along with the Sin Shenron fight, Goku's blind for almost that entire time. While he's blind, there are times when we see him just get beat up and knocked the crap out of and can't really do much. But during the Sin Shenron fight, we see him evading attacks and doing things remarkably well. And of course, it's described as, well, he's sensing the evil energy coming from Omega Shenron, which, all right, that makes sense. That's not unbelievable. But the part to me that really gets it is when we watch Ultra Instinct. We see the way that Ultra Instinct moves is very similar to the way that Super Saiyan 4 is moving with sensing that evil aura. It's very, very reflexive, very natural, and yeah, I think to some small extent, Super Saiyan 4 may have been a precursor to Ultra Instinct, which I think is a dope concept. If it's true. If it's not true, it's still awesome. But yeah. But overall, I think this form is amazing. I wouldn't change anything about it other than the clothes, which technically already got fixed. And I really hope, even if it's in a movie, like even if we get some weird Xenoverse timeline movie, I would love to just see this version again. Or hell, even if we get more non-canon just movies or TV shows like superheroes, which is weird since the new Dragon Ball Super movie is called Dragon Ball Super Superheroes. That's weird. But yeah, I want to see more Super Saiyan 4. And even if it's just Goku, like I talked about in the last video that I think Vegeta should have gotten more time with it. But I just love Goku's look. I love his transformation. I could gush about it, just babbling on for days, probably. In fact, I think I will at some point do a video just talking about Super Saiyan 4 and all of its awesome assets, specifically talking about its power, its unique skill set that it brings over other Super Saiyan transformations. But yeah, like I said, so of course, guys, what is your favorite Super Saiyan transformation or just transformation in general? You know, I know a lot of people that they'll feel like, oh, the Majin Buu, like Majin Buu with Gohan absorbed. That is awesome. I love that transformation myself too. But you know, I know a lot of people pick that one, or like I don't consider fusion techniques as transformations. That was one thing I should have said earlier. I didn't consider any of those. Otherwise, Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta would have been number one. But I think that one is just the best. My co-host is now back again to bother me because that's what he does best. But yeah, so thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you do have the like button, if you want to see more videos like this, don't forget the subscribe button, guys. And don't forget to put in the comment section below what your favorite transformation in all of the Dragon Ball franchise is. Whether it's anime, manga, canon, not canon, whatever. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I will catch you guys in the next video.